Star Wars Visions Season 2 is the shit. After the absolute mess that was The Mandalorian Season 3, I had to take a little break from Star Wars, but after finally watching Visions Season 2, I am back on the hype train, man. It's funny how the best Star Wars shows are the ones that Disney executives meddle in the least. I mean, who would have thought if you let creators work freely without executive limits, they would make amazing stuff? Not Disney apparently. But anyway, Visions is dope as hell. In this video, I'll go through each episode from worst to best, so stay till the end to see which one I think is number one. But on top of that, I'll give each episode their own rating in animation, story, and overall watchability. And obviously, these are just my opinions. Just because I don't like a certain animation style doesn't mean it's inherently bad. Personally, I think all animators are wizards because what they're able to accomplish is nothing short of magic. But anyway, let's dive straight into it with the worst of the bunch. Starting off at number 9, we have The Bandits of Golak. Golak? I don't know. There is very little about this episode that I liked. In fact, the only thing I did enjoy was the Sith Lord's smirky chuckle after having his throat cut. It's a pretty cool remark for a Sith character rather than the angry death we usually get for Disney villains. Other than that, everything else did not do it for me. The animation style is my least favorite not only among this season, but in the animation industry as a whole. The only way I can explain my distaste for this style is that it feels uncanny. The way the characters move feels staggerish and almost unfinished. Does this mean I don't like the Clone Wars style of animation? Well, sometimes yeah, but that show makes up for it with its amazing story and characters, so it doesn't really bother me that much. The story and characters in this short film are not fun to watch. From the very beginning, I could already tell this little girl was going to be annoying. Like, I get it, she's just a kid, and she still needs to learn that there are consequences to her actions. But come on, the Empire publicly outlawed Force users. What makes you think this is okay? And shame on you for not being more assertive with her. With the big theme among Season 2 being Force-sensitive children, you can't really get away with this mediocre character writing, because it's already been done so much better in previous episodes. But anyway, after the flute incident, you'd think she learned her lesson. But no, she uses the Force again, and even after Grandma saves her, it doesn't feel like she learned anything. And to top it all off, this fight scene sucks. There's no stakes because I don't care about these kids, it feels clunky as hell, and they break the 180-degree rule multiple times. With that, I give this short a 4 out of 10 for animation, 3 out of 10 for story, and an overall score of 4 out of 10. Definitely will not be watching again. Moving on to number 8, we have I Am Your Mother. Right off the bat, I absolutely love the animation. Aardman Studios' Wallace and Gromit style has a special place in my heart, as I've seen Curse of the Were-Rabbit about 100 times as a kid. Out of all the animation styles, I have the biggest respect for stop motion, because as someone who used to make stop motion Lego movies, I can tell you the patience and skill necessary to pull this shit off is nothing short of astounding. That being said, this episode lies at number 8 because the story isn't anything special. We've definitely seen this typical parental figure coming of age story before, so it's fairly predictable. The payoff was still fulfilling, and I'm glad that I watched it, but it probably wouldn't be something I would go out of my way to rewatch. Although that's probably because I am an adult man, and this episode was meant to entertain primarily children, which it does phenomenally. I mean, my inner child was definitely entertained, and some moments even made me laugh out loud. It's not fair! Overall, this short film had fantastic animation, scoring it an 8 out of 10, but a very basic story, giving it a 5 out of 10. And that gives it a general score of 6 out of 10. Next up, we have In the Stars. To me, this is a better version of everything Bandits of Golak was trying to do. Granted, they aren't exactly the same, but this story of two siblings experiencing the effects of the Empire was much more intriguing. For starters, the animation style and character design is beautiful. I mean, every shot just looks so damn pretty. And to make it better, the characters have great chemistry, making their struggle relatable and actually realistic. In the beginning, I originally found the younger sister pretty annoying because she seemed too naive considering the current state of her world. But what makes this better than Bandits is that she actually learned something in the end. Yes, she's still a little too plucky after basically falling to her death, but in the end you realize that it's her optimism that ends up actually saving her sister, because she is the one who goes through the greatest change in this story. Having her use the Force to save the younger sister felt so right, and that feeling of fulfillment is even better when they destroy the ATST together. Personally, I thought the story would have gone a darker route by having the older sister die, making the younger one harness the dark side of the Force, so I was pleasantly surprised when they ended up working together. Would I have liked it more if it ended my way? Maybe, but overall, this was still a beautifully done short film. especially with that amazing musical score that fits the theme so well. In the end, this one gets an 8 out of 10 for animation, 7 out of 10 for story, and an overall score of 8 out of 10. Would definitely rewatch this one again. At number 6, we got The Pit. Honestly, this is where it gets pretty tough to rank these because the rest of these shorts are top notch and The Pit is absolutely amazing in terms of storytelling and animation. The best part of this story is how it reflects issues of oppression in the simplest way possible. There's only two settings, the city and the pit, the light and the dark. I specifically love the time-lapse of the city growing as the pit gets deeper. It's such great symbolism to how the ones who contribute most to a civilization are often the ones who are most oppressed. The part that really surprised me was Crux's death. For one, I didn't think they were gonna do him like that. And two, I love how it's his sacrifice that ensures his people's survival. And what's even cooler is how the stormtroopers decide to retreat, reminding us that it's the people united who hold the power. No amount of the Empire's oppression will ever silence the people's voice, and in the end, it's that voice that saves them. Their chanting of "Follow the light" perfectly sums up what this short is trying to achieve. The light being the light side of the Force, which Crux says everybody has within them. And that's what I like most about this film. It reminds us that the Force is not just being able to move objects with your mind or do insane flips. It surrounds us and is within every living being. All you have to do is listen for it, and it will guide you, just as it guided the people out of the pit. If I have any criticism about this short film, it's the reveal of Livy being Force sensitive. I feel like it takes away from the idea of everyone having the light, because now she's extra special and can use the Force. I just didn't think it was really necessary, and to be honest, I think I've seen enough special Force-sensitive children this season. But to rate The Pit, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 for animation, 8 out of 10 for story, with an overall score of 8 out of 10. Super solid. Coming in at number 5, we got Sith, the very first episode of Season 2. I feel like Disney has to precisely pick which of these shorts is going to be episode 1, because it has to reel the audience in for the whole thing. That being said, they did a damn good job choosing Sith. It's a simple story with beautiful animation and amazing action. And to be completely honest with you, I made this one number 5 because of the action. Yep, even as someone who prioritizes story over everything, I can't deny that this shit goes hard. But before I get into the action, let's talk about animation. I gotta admit, the moment I started watching this, I was just like, whoa. I was impressed, but at the same time, I was a little overwhelmed. The excessive amount of whites made it a little difficult to get my bearings on the setting of her house. I get there's a lot of white because it's like her canvas, but it looked kinda funky. But even though the animation isn't my favorite visually, it does a phenomenal job at complementing the story. It's obvious the animation isn't bound by the natural laws of physics. I mean, in this shot, the entire background goes from white to red, symbolizing the darkness of the Sith. And here, their duel literally changes their surroundings, illustrating her embrace of both the dark and the light. The creators took this simple story of a Sith accepting her past and enhanced it with this beautiful, dynamic animation. But alright, I want to talk about these fight scenes now, cause just look at how badass these guys look. Straight up, animated fight scenes have ruined live action fights for me. With animation, there's just so many unique ways to execute a battle. Like, there's no way anyone could do this motorcycle sequence in live action. And if you watched my lightsaber duel video, you know I found this duel epic. It's choreographed brilliantly and edited perfectly. Every shot is cut and held flawlessly so we, as the audience, know what's going on at all times. And like my favorite duel of all time, every shot has a purpose. Even this close-up shot is interesting and doesn't take us out of the fight. And on top of that, the emotional significance of her victory takes this duel from a cool fight scene to a memorable duel that keeps me coming back for more. So to round off, I'm giving Sith a 7 out of 10 for animation, 8 out of 10 for story, and an 8 out of 10 overall. Next up, we got Ao's song. I know I said I was tired of Force-sensitive children, but this episode takes this idea to a whole new level and I love it. To start, I cannot get over how beautiful this animation is. I don't know what it is, but all these shorts with this 3D hyper-realistic miniature style of animation just scratches a part of my brain in the best way possible. Like, can I just live in this world forever? Look how cute everything is. And the character design in this one is so adorable and perfect, with my favorite being the Jedi. Like, before I continue, just look at this shot. Is that not the sickest Jedi entrance of all time? Anyway, the reason why I love this Force-sensitive child so much is that she's not a typical Force user. I find it so unique that she uses her voice to purify corrupted crystals. And this is coming from someone who doesn't usually like singing in TV. The sound designers really did a great job making her voice literally sound like the Force. Also, the fact that the crystals also sing makes them seem almost sentient. At times, it felt like the corrupted crystals were calling to her, either to turn her to the dark side or as a cry for help. The creators found such a distinctive way to give the Force character traits while still maintaining its mystery. And the ending is as satisfying as ever. It feels like Ao actually earned her right to be trained as a Jedi. She inhibits all the traits of being the chosen one without being a tacky Mary Sue, like most protagonists in Star Wars these days. When she leaves her dad, there's a combination of sadness and excitement for her future. In just 15 minutes, this film invokes more meaningful emotion than the entirety of The Mandalorian Season 3. Ao's song perfectly does what any piece of media attempts to do in its short 15-minute runtime. It leaves me wanting more. I could keep going on about this episode, but we still got 3 more of these things, so in terms of animation, I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. For story, 9 out of 10, giving it an overall score of, 9 out of 10. This one was near perfect. Now that we're in the top 3, I will say it was really hard to rank these. It's almost insulting to have to pit these beautiful films against each other, but I don't make the rules. So at number 3, we have Journey to the Dark Head. For those of you who watched my lightsaber video, it's probably no surprise that this one is in my top 3. I like anime, what can I say? Sue me. But it should be stated that I didn't just make this number 3 simply because it's anime. This episode had a very compelling story with beautiful action and character chemistry. However, that being said, the reason this isn't number 2 is because the story moves a bit fast. This definitely should have been a 30-minute movie or hell, even its own show. There's just so many plot points that are crammed into this 17-minute runtime that I end up caring more about the lit fight scenes than the actual plot. Yes, it's nice to make me want more, but it also needs to give more. Like, I'd love to know more backstory on all these characters, especially Bichon. Bitchin. This has got to be one of the sickest Sith designs I've ever seen. I mean, just look at his gnarly lightsaber and that elegant but menacing mask. And when he takes off the mask... Oh no, he's hot! But despite the fast-paced story, I was still intrigued the whole time. Toole's realization that light and dark will always coexist wrapped up the episode pretty nicely. To be honest, he's the most interesting character because he experiences the most internal conflict with the light and the dark. The fact that Bitchin spares his life and tells him to become his apprentice has so much potential. I mean, that's why I wish this film was longer so we could see more build-up before their inevitable showdown. But it's alright because their final duel is still a spectacle to behold. Which brings me to the real reason this episode is number 3. The flawless animation during the fight scenes. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When done right, anime fight scenes top everything else in action entertainment. Nothing comes close to this level of badassery. The way the characters move with such speed and ferocity is so eye-catching that you can't look away. In my mind, this is how a Jedi and Sith should fight. These people aren't ordinary. They have a power that only a select few possess, and it's demonstrated perfectly in this style of animation. On top of that, the emotions of the story are sewn into the battle. It's not just two people fighting for nothing. There is reason behind every strike, and that just adds another layer of depth in these duels. Basically, I've already rewatched this battle 5 times, and I know I'll be coming back frequently to do it again. So to rate it, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 for animation, 8 out of 10 for story, and an overall score of 9 out of 10. This shit was so fun to watch. Rounding off the top 2, we have Screecher's Reach. Words cannot describe how much I love the story of this episode. It's exactly how I would write a story featuring a Force-sensitive child, and it's what I was looking for in both Bandits of Golak and In the Stars. The characters not only have amazing chemistry in the mere 12 minutes they're together, but they feel real. Their actions and reactions are believable. Remember when I said this sister was a little too plucky despite nearly being killed? Yeah, that Disney happy-go-lucky attitude is nowhere to be seen in Screecher's Reach. Yeah, there is a scene of the kids just goofing off, but that's just them being kids, unaware of what horrors lie before them. After the cave, they are clearly changed. No one is happy, and no one is making any witty banter to lighten the mood. This ending lets the sadness boil in our hearts, forcing us to feel what the characters feel. It's fucking perfection. Doll or Dal? Dal's fight against the Screecher is also brilliant. It's not as flashy as Sith, but the buildup of this mythical monster makes its reveal so impactful. Because this shit is actually horrifying. Like, her scream penetrated my freaking soul, man. And Dal's decision to face the Screecher doesn't feel stupid or misguided for the sake of the story. It feels as if she actually believes all of this is in her mind and the Force will guide her. And this once again builds up to the best moment in the film. Man, when she ignites her menacing saber, my jaw dropped. This moment does two major things for this film. For one, it brings Star Wars into this episode, because up until this point, this could have easily just been a standalone short film, unrelated to Star Wars, and it still would have been great. But having her ignite a red lightsaber gives the audience so much more insight because we know what a red lightsaber means. Personally, I speculate that the dark side corrupted the Screecher's mind, turning her into a monster. But you may think differently. The point is, having her be a Sith mystifies the dark side of the Force. The second effect of this scene is that it completely switches up Doll's character and the momentum of the film. The lightsaber signifies that it's not all in her head, and she could actually die right now. Doll's victory may have been partly due to luck, but in the end, it was her decision to strike down the Screecher with her own lightsaber. This act alone puts Doll in a league of her own out of all the characters introduced this season. And when she decides to leave with the Sith Master, we as the audience don't feel joy like in Owl's song. We feel worried. To Doll and her friends, it's a new beginning, away from their miserable lives. But to us, it's the beginning of her path to the dark side. Who knows what evil Doll will become as a Sith Lord? Like I've said, this film is good because we're left wanting more. And I have a lot more I could say about Screecher's Reach, but I think I have to stop here. Well, actually, I didn't really touch on animation. I will say the animation style isn't my favorite, but it lends itself to the story amazingly. As mentioned before, the design of the Screecher is beautifully terrifying, and I couldn't imagine it looking any other way. So to rate this one, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for animation, a 10 out of 10 for story, and an overall rating of 9 out of 10. It's literal perfection, people. And speaking of perfection, here we are at number 1. Spy Dancer. If I could pick only one of these short films to adapt into a show, it would be Spy Dancer. Where do I even begin with this one? The animation? Absolutely spectacular. It's got a whimsical charm of a Studio Ghibli film and the dramatic action of a fantasy anime. On top of that, the animation complements the movement of the dancing and action flawlessly. Again, can you imagine trying to make this with live action? It just wouldn't work. This could only exist as it's presented, and honestly, we should be grateful to witness such vision. I mean, just look at the way she fights, and the way she dances feels almost like she's using the Force to glide across the stage. It's pure eye candy. On top of that, each character is interesting in terms of design and backstory. Loie is obviously a badass, but what makes her truly real is her motherhood. Yes, it's badass that she was about to slit the throat of the man who took everything from her, but her unyielding love for her son turned enemy is what makes her truly relatable. We genuinely feel for her and want her to bring her son back to the light. And honestly, the fact that he is with the Empire and Loie with the Rebels is such a classic Star Wars move, there's no way it could flop in this episode. If you think about it, it's just like Vader and Luke with the roles switched. A parent loses their baby child only to find out later they've grown to side with the enemy. The only difference is that in this scenario, it's the parent trying to bring the son back to the light, and not the other way around, as with Luke and Vader. It's honestly painful to know that we will never see what happens next with these characters. And even the side characters have purpose in this film. Hedis, I'm sorry, I'm butchering all these names, but this girl isn't just here to fight alongside Loie. Her victory feels justified because she originally wanted to do more for the rebellion and she found her chance. And I love how she actually almost gets killed here, symbolizing that maybe Loie was right and she wasn't ready. And though John has a small role, I like how he has a clear relationship with Loie. It's not romantic, but he definitely cares about her. Plus, it's cool how it's his trackers that not only help the rebellion, but act as a guide to Loie's son in the end. And speaking of ending, the climactic battle has got to be the most emotion-driven fight I've seen in a long time. I mean, it's not even a fight, but a dance of conversation, building up to a heavy but earned twist. The duel doesn't end with someone dying, but instead a hug that changes our characters' motives in an instant. Both Loie and her son leave this encounter as changed individuals with new goals and motivations. I'm telling you guys, this is how you write a Star Wars story. In fact, this is how you write a story, period. Granted, if it was this easy, every episode would be great. but at the very least, Hollywood writers should be taking notes from Spy Dancer. This short film is a perfect blend of fun fantasy and dark adult tones that all Star Wars media should strive to achieve. And with that said, I'm rating this one a 9 out of 10 for animation, 10 out of 10 for story, and a whopping 10 out of 10 overall, making Spy Dancer the best piece of Star Wars media I've seen since Andor. And that about wraps up my ranking of Star Wars Visions Season 2. Let me know what your favorite episode is and why you think so, and also tell me which one you think is the worst. The best thing about anthology series like this is that everyone has their own favorite, and that's totally cool. If you like this video, be sure to check out some of my other Star Wars videos. And also, sorry for my lack of content lately. After The Mandalorian, things got pretty busy in my life, and it's been hard to find time to write, record, and edit my personal projects. But I still have a lot of ideas in the tank, so there's definitely more to come. Thank you all so much for watching my video, and I'll catch you next time.